content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Good afternoon, world. Good afternoon, world.
Great afternoon. Very exciting times, Jay.
Good afternoon, world. This is your host, Jania Butler, here with the New American Perspective. Glad to be with you today on this Wednesday, the New American Perspective, every Wednesday at noon. And we're going to have some friends of the show come through today. We have a great show for you today. And I am a citizen of hip hop and I'm reporting for duty. I got my partner here with me today, King Edwards. King Edwards, welcome to the show, King Edwards. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Dania. Thank
you. King, how are you today?
Very excited to be here today. You know, it's been a long time coming. We've been having this conversation, so I'm excited to get right into it.
Okay, I can't hear you, but I know that was good in the sense of how are you today? I guess the people in our back room are going to fix the fact that I can't hear you, but let me just get started real quick, King. Let me set the stage really quick while we're waiting for me being able to hear you. So right now we have breaking news where Donald Trump is in the courtroom right now. Closing arguments have been made. There's a judgment going forward. So, King, will we have a president who was convicted running for office and possibly going to jail and pardoning himself? What do you feel about that, King?
You know what? One thing, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
I can.
Okay, well, listen, if you guys can hear me, my response to that is very simple. You know, I think that to have Donald Trump still running for president during this time with all of the heat that's been on him during this time, all of the pushback that he's gotten, it has only made me more interested in him, more enthusiastic about him running. It has only made me more of a supporter of him. And to me, it shows that he's extremely interested in the American economy, pushing forward the American agenda. To see somebody go through the amount of pushback that he's going through and still be able to come out on the other side positive. So I have a lot of excitement and a lot of joy looking at I'm very optimistic watching him go through this today. Can you guys hear me or no?
So again, I can't hear you, but I can tell by your body language that's some serious stuff going on right here in the courtroom. And so we're going to find out later on today where we are on this spectrum and bring King right back up. But what I wanted to talk about is King has been with me. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Jania Butler, originally from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Black Republican. This is the first Republican news show on Millennium News 24 and Millennium TV 24. So this is a great thing. So as a Black Republican, I ran for office in 2018 in Harlem for Charlie Rangel's seat. Congressman Charlie Rangel was the longest running congressman to that point. And so I ran for that seat in 2018 as a Republican in a D85, meaning Democratic plus 85% Republican area. And I did that to start the conversation to where we are today. So today we're in a different space. Today we are in a place where people were scared for me 2018. And one of the people that was with me was King Edwards. King, can you tell us a little bit about the feeling? And when I came to you and said, I'm going to run for office as a Republican in Harlem, what was that like, King?
So, you know what? At that time, are you guys able to hear me? Can you guys hear me? All right. Well, at that time, as you know, I was one of the Black individuals that was a Democrat. You know that. Or I was taught to be a Democrat. And I thought that it was very courageous of you to even go after being a Republican at that time. And I really wanted to understand deeper, as somebody who I had a personal connection to. I wanted to understand deeper about what it is that you were doing and why you were doing it. And when you brought me to those rallies, that was the first time that I really understood in totality that the Republican Party was actually for the very things that we are for, that we have to be for, as not just Black Americans or Hispanic Americans or ethnic Americans in general, but we're talking about just all Americans. All Americans, especially as inflation rises, have to be big on having a secondary source of income, having another business. And the Republican Party is pro-business, pro-entrepreneurship. So to me, that was the very first thing that looped me in to your campaign. And as I went into these events and I started to really understand the understanding of what it is that was being promoted in the Republican Party, it just became extremely clear to me that as a Black man, I had been coerced, unfortunately, into being a Democrat. And when you go deeper into what the history of both parties, whether it's Republican or Democrat, you realize, and this was a big game changer for me, realizing that the Democratic Party was actually the ones that were holding the slaves, right? And the Republican Party was the one who wanted to free slaves. So once you understood that point, I had to start to unravel the entire system, which made me a firm believer in what it is that you were doing. And to watch you go through the trajectory that you went through, running and being a part of that, I'm excited to see you here on the grand stage and to be a part of the journey with you.
Wow. And that was like the first, and see, I'm not sure if you talked about the fact that you had never voted before at the time, correct?
Right. Nope.
And so now, and let's jump to right now, right? Right now, you're all the way in. You're like, I get it. I understand politics. I know where I'm supposed to play our part. And see, that's the part that I want this community to understand, is that we hold the power in our hands. And we're going to go to break. And as soon as we come back for break, we're going to pick back up King Edwards, Lady J, Jania, the New American Perspective, and we're coming to your world all over. So tune in, comment, download, get us ready. Let's go. They're going to go break.
Can you guys hear me or no?
Join me, Jania Butler, for the New American Perspective every Wednesday at 12 noon for an in-depth look of education, politics, economics, and entertainment from Republican and conservative views. The first of its kind on the Millennium News 24 and the Millennium TV 24 network. We will conceptualize and debate the rights and wrongs of the society, and together we will build the new American perspective and share it with the rest of the world. You can tune in on all iOS and Android platforms, branded smart TVs, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. If you're around the world, Horizon Satellite. If you're in Europe or Australia, the Sky Network. Tune in to MillenniumNews24.com or MillenniumTV24.com. All social media, Millennium News 24. We're live and have the podcast at the same time. I am a citizen, and this is our perspective. Join me, Jania Butler, for the New American Perspective every Wednesday at 12 noon for an in-depth look of education, politics, economics, and entertainment from Republican and conservative views. The first of its kind on the Millennium News 24 and the Millennium TV 24 network. We will conceptualize and debate the rights and wrongs of the society, and together we will build the new American perspective and share it with the rest of the world. You can tune in on all iOS and Android platforms, branded smart TVs, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. If you're around the world, Horizon Satellite. If you're in Europe or Australia, the Sky Network. Tune in to MillenniumNews24.com or MillenniumTV24.com. All social media, Millennium News 24. We're live and have the podcast at the same time. I am a citizen, and this is our perspective. We are back.
Can you hear me?
You still hear me going where we can get the new American perspective, your new perspective for the new millennium. You have it here. We're back with friend of the show, King Edwards, and we're going to dive in, King. We're going to dive in. Last week, President Trump had a rally in the Bronx, okay? He went to the Boogie Down, South Bronx, South Bronx. Okay. So let me preface. Let me put something on this. So 1980, okay, was the last time somebody came to the Bronx. Was Ronald Reagan, a president that came to the Bronx. So President Trump decides to recreate this moment and puts it out here. It says, I'm going to the South Bronx to show people I'm not scared of what's going on. Okay, King? And so now he shows up in the Bronx, right? Black and brown people, everybody everywhere. It was a nice showing. What did you think, King, when you heard that he was going to the Bronx?
You know what? As a Bronx native, I was extremely excited about it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You can't hear?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Say something to me, King.
As a Bronx native, I was very excited about it.
Yes. Yes, I can hear you. Sorry about that.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
so he's in the Bronx. Tell me again what was your thought?
I said, as a Bronx native, I was very excited about it to see him coming to the Bronx.
So he's out there. I showed up, okay? It was a good operation. I got out there. It started at 6. I got out there about 2. The line was light. People were coming from all over the place. I think the news AOC said he was bussing people in. No, people was parking and walking over. People was showing up. People were lined up at least, I think, 11, but I got there around 2 and the line was hardy enough. Okay, they gave out pizza and water. Some was a little skeptical about that. Like, you come. They gave out pizza to the press. They it was a lively situation. Okay, it was very lively. There was a number of people there. You would think, white people, black people, Hispanics largely. Hispanics had a good group of folks out there, and they were very strong. I think the Hispanic vote is going to do it for him. But I really think, King, that he can flip New York. I think he can flip New York. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think he can flip New York because just like you're out in Florida, correct, King?
Yes. Yep.
So you're out in Florida and it is Trump USA. Tell me about what it feels like to be in Florida, to be free and out there.
Well, I'll tell you this. So I'm a New Yorker through and through. And are you guys able to hear me now? So I'll tell you this, I'm a New Yorker through and through, right? And I love my city. One of the things that brought me to Florida originally was the COVID fiasco that we now know is a fiasco, right? Globally, we know. And during that time, I saw that New York was absolutely going to go into a downward
Yeah.
spiral with COVID. So I ended up migrating to Florida, where I wanted to be closer to where Trump was going to be, where I knew that I wasn't going to be exposed to the same COVID restrictions that we were being exposed to in New York. Great decision. No COVID restrictions. Had an incredible time while I've been here. This particular portion of this particular sector of the country is very progressive. Everything here is, obviously everything's open. The weather is beautiful. And New York and Trump has a stronghold on this region. When it comes to New York, as a New Yorker, I'm very excited to see how the community is responding to Trump, especially considering how much pressure New York, the judicial system is putting on Donald Trump at this moment in New York. To see him have that type of turnout is incredible.
Okay. Hold on a second. Why am I not getting any?
Awesome.
There we
So
go.
now he did have a great turnout. Now I was out there and they said that it was about at the highest peak about 56,000 people out there. Now they had a permit for 4,000 people. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that it wasn't, but I didn't feel 156,000, but I thought the numbers were great. Let me just introduce friend to the show, Rob Sayer from Judy Z's Restaurant and Tavern downtown NYC, a proprietor in New York City, a movie producer now. He's got his products in I think Amazon, Walmart. We're going worldwide. Rob Sager to the show, to the New American Perspective. Rob, welcome.
Oh, Jania, thank you for having me. Love it. Appreciate it. Looking forward to talking to you about whatever it is that you want to ask me questions about.
Well, it's great to have you, Rob. We're talking about Trump's rally in the Bronx. What did you think when Gangsta Lean went to the Bronx, Rob? What was your first thought?
To be honest with you, I didn't even know he was really speaking in the Bronx. I didn't know he was holding a rally until like the day before. And it was nice to see the turnout for him. It was nice to see the people who actually showed up there. And I mean, look at, for me, it's like, let's just take away the name Trump and whatever guy is there, that these people came out for him, all kinds of people, all races, religions, creeds, beliefs, socioeconomic backgrounds. This was an interesting, very surprising turnout for this person who's been, I don't think you can be any more vilified in the media than this person has been. So it was just, I don't know, that they make such a big deal out of something, that it gets so much attention, you would think that some people would shy away from it. And that the people who showed up there, they didn't. They
awesome.
wanted to support.
So here we have it. This is a piece of America that we're looking at right here. King Edwards to my right, Rob Sayer to your left, to my left. And what are we talking about? We're talking about what needs to happen in America. King, as a Black man in America, what needs to happen for you to continue down this road for any elected official? Because let's not forget, we do have another candidate. Kennedy is out here as well, and he's pulling votes. So when we're looking at the landscape, right? So we're looking at, what are we looking at? We're looking at Arizona. We're looking at Ohio. We're looking at Michigan, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and my last state, and Georgia, right? So those are the 5 states that are going to determine the election, right? And then if New York feels like flipping New York, wake up, because when the swing states, and what we got to understand about an election process is that the swing states are really the smartest people ever, because they're the ones that all the money is going to come to there, because Trump and Biden have to now convince you, have to now make a deal with you for your vote. So I'm asking you, King Edwards, as a Black man in America, what do they have to say to you? What needs to be done in order for us to move this needle forward?
Listen, I think if I'm going to be truthfully honest, and Rob, it's great to meet you on here as well. If I'm going to be truthfully honest here, look, I just want to be as straightforward and transparent as possible. America really disappointed me in the previous election. We live in a country that is built on certain values. Those values are that the voting and everything is supposed to be done in a certain way. And I felt, along with many Americans, that the voting was not done in a fair way. And I think that this is what really has New York in a place where it can go in any direction, because we've seen the amount of pressure that the judicial system has put on this man. We've also seen what the person that they pushed into office, we also seen what he's done for America, and he's completely just eradicated almost everything that Donald Trump was building during his tenure as president. So in a lot of ways, and I'm going to answer your question, Jania, but in a lot of ways, this whole thing, and not to get too deep into what's happening with Israel and Gaza right now, but this movement that's happening with Israel and Gaza has absolutely demolished, in my opinion, Biden's possibility of being reelected. You know, those were his supporters. The LGBTQ community is not even supporting what it is that he's doing. He hasn't showed up for Black people in any way. He hasn't showed up for Middle America in any way. As a matter of fact, all of the things that he has said that he was going to do.
Wow. So that's big, right? And what we have to do in this country is we've got to understand politics. Politics is not black or white. It's green. It's about what we're doing at the end of the day, right? And how we're using our vote. Now, we're going to go to break, but when we come back, we're going to hear a proprietor's view. I'm not sure if he's Irish. He's a little gangster, so I think he's an Italian, right? We're going to hear the view of Rob Sayer about what he's been going through, because he's been going through the real pains of here in New York, what we went through the pandemic and everything. And I know that this upcoming vote is important to his business. And then we got the congestion pricing. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that with Rob Sayer. We'll be back in a moment. Join me, Jania Butler, for the New American Perspective every Wednesday at 12 noon for an in-depth look of education, politics, economics, and entertainment from Republican and conservative views. The first of its kind on the Millennium News 24 and the Millennium TV 24 network. We will conceptualize and debate the rights and wrongs of the society, and together we will build the New American Perspective and share it with the rest of the world. You can tune in on all iOS and Android platforms, branded smart TVs, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. If you're around the world, Horizon Satellite. If you're in Europe or Australia, the Sky Network. Tune in to MillenniumNews24.com or MillenniumTV24.com. All social media, Millennium News 24. We're live and have the podcast at the same time. I am a citizen, and this is our perspective. Join me, Jania Butler, for the New American Perspective every Wednesday at 12 noon for an in-depth look of education, politics, economics, and entertainment from Republican and conservative views. The first of its kind on the Millennium News 24 and the Millennium TV 24 network. We will conceptualize and debate the rights and wrongs of the society, and together we will build the New American Perspective and and share it with the rest of the world. You can tune in on all iOS and Android platforms, branded smart TVs, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. If you're around the world, Horizon Satellite. If you're in Europe or Australia, the Sky Network. Tune in to MillenniumNews24.com or MillenniumTV24.com. All social media, Millennium News 24. We're live and have the podcast at the same time. I am a citizen, and this is our perspective. Join me, Jania Butler, for the New American Perspective every Wednesday at 12 noon for an in-depth look of education, politics, economics, and entertainment from Republican and conservative views. The first of its kind on the Millennium News 24 and the Millennium TV 24 network. We will conceptualize and debate the rights and wrongs of the society, and together we will build the new American perspective and share it with the rest of the world. You can tune in on all iOS and Android platforms, branded smart TVs, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. If you're around the world, Horizon Satellite. If you're in Europe or Australia, the Sky Network. Tune in to MillenniumNews24.com or MillenniumTV24.com. All social media, Millennium News 24. We're live and have the podcast at the same time. I am a citizen, and this is our perspective. We are back. The New American Perspective. Thank you for joining us here today. Sorry for a little technical difficulty. We're getting started because this is the first Republican show on the Millennium News 24. So you know how they do us Republicans. But what I'm here to say is no more shame. No more shame, because we want to change the direction of America. No more shame for saying that I want to be a black Republican. No more shame for anyone that wants to stand up for their political views. We're in America. I am a citizen. This is a free country. So as I promised you, I've got Rob Sayer in the building, New York proprietor, extraordinaire, has a great restaurant downtown, must visit. I actually love the mini burgers. They're amazing. And he's going to tell you that he uses 100% lean meat. And so, Rob, tell us how you feel as a businessman in New York City and what happened to you over the pandemic.
So the city is hard enough, and trying to get through the pandemic was absolutely crazy. You know, at first when it happened, I didn't realize there were so many rules. I went down to South Carolina and lived with my little brother and his wife and my nephews, and kind of just slept on a couch and didn't even put on the news, I swear, for 3 months. When I came back, you know, like this was like I Am Legend here. It was nobody. I mean, it was nobody. There wasn't even a pigeon. It was crazy. So when I started trying to put the restaurant back together after getting some of the PPP money and all that, you know, all you did was keep hearing about mandates and rules and this and that. And I couldn't believe that there were any rules really at that point, because I just figured, start your business, start making money, and bring it back into the city, because I don't know how they're getting out of this, because it's crazy to shut an entire city, let alone the world, down for 3 months. But they did more in the city. So I just started having people come to the restaurant, and I found out real quick that I wasn't allowed to be open past 11 o'clock. So, my first thought was, you know what, I'm just going to take the money and get out of here. I'm born and raised here. My roots are here. I don't want to leave, but I'm done with this. I can't survive. But the more rules and mandates that they kept putting on us and me, the more determined I started to be like, oh, you know what, I'm not leaving. And I'm going to build a wall out in front of my place.
Build a wall. Build a wall.
Ironically enough, yes, it was the wall that kept people from seeing in. It kept people in from, instead of keeping them out. So we did that, and we let people in, whether mask, no mask. They did what they wanted to do. I wasn't here to tell people what to do with their lives. I was just trying to provide a place for entertainment and food. And honestly, I had no more money. Like, all my money was in this place, and the first place I had open in Tribeca, and I had nothing. So it was like, okay, if you're going to shut me down and arrest me, then I'm going to go down fighting at least, because at the moment I don't have anything. So we somehow got through that. That was like having an aneurysm and a stroke every day, because every time the door opened, you didn't know if you were going to be raided. And to their credit, the 6th Precinct, the cops who we deal with all the time, were real cool. They didn't want any of this either, to be honest with you. It was more so the sheriff's department you had to watch out for, because the precincts are owned by a lot of blue, they're not owned. Cops are blue collar. My grandfather was a cop. My uncle was a firefighter. So a lot of these guys' families own bars and taverns and restaurants. So they weren't about trying to close you down. They were just trying to follow what they were being told without stepping on our toes. So it was really great that the police kind of worked with us, kind of left us alone, as long as I wasn't blaring stuff out into the middle of the street or letting people pour into the street. So we did get through that, and I mean, it wasn't easy, right? So we got through that, we kept our business going, and just more and more you get through stuff, all of a sudden everyone forgets what you just went through, right? So the community board now coming at you, people are trying to throw fines at you. And you're like, yo, listen, we just got through this whole pandemic. You shut the city down for basically a year. Now you're coming back at me with that. Hire this, hire that. They really don't stop. And I was telling you, Janie, I was like, you know what? I got through so many different things, tragedies, pandemics, shutdowns, violence, Antifa, BLM, all these things that would go on right outside my place. We got through it all. And I'll tell you right now, this congestion pricing thing might knock me out of here, because I can't.
Right. So you really, are you nervous about that?
Yeah. And so is the people who work for me, because they got to come in.
Right.
We do a lot of catering. Now, we built our catering business up. So guys, girls who work for me come in with their cars, right? I help pay for their gas and give them tips, good tips from delivering the food. So it helps them make more income. And these people have, families here and families outside the country. So there's a lot of things that are, involved with Judy Z's. And there's a lot of people that we take care of. I take care of it. It's great to be able to do that. But this is like, what do you mean you're charging money to drive from one street to another? I'm like, that can't be real. I didn't honestly think that was even real. So I don't know how people can come in. I don't understand how trucking companies are going to be able to afford this.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to be able to afford it.
What are they going to do? Seriously.
What I don't like is that they're trying to push everybody to ride this disgusting train right now. So you're going to charge everybody $15. Now, I live in Queens. So in order for me to get to New Jersey, and I've got to pay every which way I go
that's like
to get to New Jersey. I've got to pay on my way out, and I can't get to Queens without paying twice. $15 twice? $30 just to get home?
Yep.
So they've got these. So when you come out the Midtown Tunnel, you pay for the Midtown Tunnel, and then you have to pay to be below 60th Street too. Who made this up?
That's what I'm saying. Who voted that in? We got to all strike against this truck. I'm hoping trucking companies strike and just say we're not coming to New York anymore. And let's
the good thing.
It'll be about
the
a
good
week.
thing is the Teflon Don
Yeah, man.
has said the first week he's in office, he's cutting out the congestion pricing. And
We
that's
can't
what we
survive it
need to
here.
hear.
We can't survive it here. We can't. I can't. That's
And
right.
and we have to really put that into perspective. And your girl AOC, she was on the news talking about, oh, well, I hope the Trump supporters pay their congestion pricing. This is who you voted into office. Somebody who wants us to pay and die out here trying to pay these little things. America has to stop eating its people. For America to be great again, or the first time, however you want to look at it, it has to stop eating its citizens. I am a citizen of the United States of America, and America is supposed to work for me. Okay?
Amen.
It's not working for me under you ain't black if I don't want to vote for you. It's not working. The system is not working. So let's go into a little bit more. Now, King, you're an entrepreneur. He's a big wig. I don't know if he told you, but he's a big wig. Okay? You know, he puts his pinky in the air and wears Gucci loafers. That kind of big wig. So now, King, doing business in Miami, from what Rob just told you, what is the difference? Florida, a red state. Now let me caution everybody. Just because I'm a Republican doesn't mean I'm going to overlook anything. The NAACP has put an alert out for black people going through Florida. Let's be clear about that. Okay? So now King is in Florida. Tell us what you think.
Doing business in Florida, I do business on the internet. So for me, I can be anywhere and do business and I'm fine. But I will say that those taxes, those additional fees that you guys are paying to go through the cities, I no longer have to worry about that. So I'm happy. You know, the people here now, the thing is ultimately, as I was saying before, I moved here because it was a red state and I moved here during COVID, right? And I saw that the trajectory of what was happening to New York City. I mean, I would have never thought that they would put a congestion tax in place, but that is absolutely insane, you know. But if you think about it overall, like let's get out, let's talk about the things that surround entrepreneurship, like housing. I've seen the housing market while I've been living in Florida jump 50, in some cases 100% of what it was the year prior. Literally. And that's because of all of the influx. So what's happening here is that they don't have the same rent control that New York has, right? The same stipulations where in New York you can't up the rent more than 33% every year. Here in Florida, there is no limit to how much they can up the rent.
Interesting.
You saw the rents go from, let's say, 3,000 a month at the high end, right, to live right on the water, to now 11,000 to live in that same place. So when you think about, so they're not charging congestion taxes, but for the average individual here that's working on that the income that they had pre-COVID, it's impossible. You have to move out of the city. You have to move far out into the country in order to be able to afford living here. And this is what's happening all around the country. You know, you said something very, very key, Jania. You said America has to stop eating its people. Well, the question is that the goal of America? I mean, that's as we look at it. I mean, when you look at every single sector, I like to just look at things for what they are. And as I said, I'm always going to be straightforward. That's why we have the relationship that we've done, that we do. It's a few different things here that I want to address real quick because it sounds like you can hear us now. Okay.
Yeah. I'm on.
So there's a few things that I want to address real quick. Number one, the housing market that needs to get corrected around the country. Okay. Number two, we know that this AI initiative, we know what this AI initiative is going to do to business owners and entrepreneurs in multiple sectors, right?
Right.
All of the individuals, Rob, it's potential that in the next 10 years, you might have a completely AI restaurant, where robots serving people and self-driving cars. And this is not a joke, actually. This is serious. So when you think
Right.
about when you think about the housing market, when you think about the job market, when you think about these congestion taxes that you guys are dealing with in New York, we'll just stop there, but you can go into any industry that you want, right? You can see that it does look like America is eating its people. And the problem with that, and my biggest issue with that is watching how much money is being sent over to places like Israel and fighting wars in other countries, right? While we're simultaneously being our money is being is siphoned from our bank accounts with the ideal that these taxes are supposed to help us, but in reality, we can easily see that the money is going somewhere else. So we're watching our current president, take our money and send it somewhere else, right? It only takes people who are not paying attention to see what's going on. Our money's being sent somewhere else, and you're taking more of it with all of these new taxes and tariffs and rent and all of these different things. So it's eating us alive. It's eating us alive.
And I'm big on that. I think that we're looking at it the wrong way, because if America arms its citizens, you have the biggest army of entrepreneurs, of people and patriots, than people that can love America. And I think that we've got the frown on our face. And I think that despite what anybody says about Trump, I think that he loves America. Now, what I think is that if you're not from America, you might have problems coming up, but you might need to get those problems, because I can't go into Mexico and say, listen, take me in. I need food, shelter. I'll be here for as long as I need to be. I know I can't work, but I'm going to lay up and have your citizens take care of us. We can't do that. Okay. And, ode to Reverend Jesse Jackson and ode to the Statue of Liberty, saying that we will take your sick, we will take your weak. Okay. But we have to rebuild here in America first. So I want to just change, as for our last couple of minutes, I want to just us to talk about a potential vice presidential candidate. Okay. Trump's got some potential folks, up for vice president. Rob, what's your first thought on who should his vice president be and why?
Just recently I was thinking, well, I love DeSantis. I do. I think DeSantis, out of all these guys and girls, I think DeSantis would have been the best president for this country. He's young enough where we can get him. We can still get him. I don't know. You never know what their real relationships are, like behind closed doors. Like what they say in public is so different than what they do in private. It's all most times an act. So I would love DeSantis to be his vice president, but I wouldn't mind him thinking and talking to this guy Kennedy, to be honest. Like, why not? I don't mind Kennedy. I don't mind him. He's got a lot of
I like that.
regular ideas. And then you just sweep this whole country and they can't cheat. You know what I mean? They can't take it away this time because there's no way. And with a guy like Kennedy, it's like, listen, we all know why Trump even had the possibility of losing or they were able to even pull this off, was because he just wouldn't shut up. It was like, yo, stop going on Twitter. Just go away. Keep your mouth shut, right? And there'd been no problem. So I think if he just kind of takes that side, puts a guy like Kennedy there who really appeals to a whole kind of middle ground America, I think he runs away with this. And just one other thing I want to say is, like, people got to stop talking about Republican Democrats. This is now pro-America, anti-America, in my opinion.
Period.
You are either for America or you are not. It's animal color. My Jiddu came over from Aleppo, Syria. My Tete came from Beirut, Lebanon. My Babchi and her family came from Poland. we're all here from somewhere else, right? But we love America. They used to buy Cadillacs because they thought it was American. Now it's like everyone hates America. Like it's crazy. So I think that get rid of Republican, Democrat, pro-America, anti-America. I mean, to be honest, that's just my feeling about it.
I love that. I love that thought because, the Kennedy is synonymous with America. It's synonymous with bringing America together. Now, I got to tell you the truth, Rob. This Kennedy's voice is just so annoying to me. And I know that he has issues and problems, but that's part of the reason why most of the people can't hear him. Because I was listening to him last night and I was just like, I don't want to hear this. But at the same time, I think that he's on point to some degrees. Mm-hmm. King, now there's a few black candidates now. I interviewed and I met at the rally last week Byron Donalds, and I thought that he was a sharp young black man, on point. He represents in Florida, believe the 19th district in Florida. He's a potential guy. And then we've got Tim Scott, right? I'm sure you know Tim Scott. I love you, President Trump. And so he got up there and he did a little buffoon act, and he really just pushed himself out the way. So I want to know, King, does the color of the president matter to you? If a black man is standing up there, whether Republican or Democrat, does that make you feel any type of way or sway you in any type of way?
Honest answer?
Always. We're here this is the new American perspective.
The last black man we had as a president didn't really do me too much. He wasn't too exciting for me.
Honest answer. Oh my God, I asked for it.
So the reality is that I would say no. I mean, I think that I agree with you, Rob, that Robert Kennedy would be absolutely, a great candidate. I do understand that his vocal, his delivery is certainly a deterrent. But Byron Donalds, one thing that I do like about him is that, he's from New York. He has a certain grit about him and we need representation like that can actually, push forward an agenda that's different than the agenda that we're currently seeing when politicians try to infiltrate or connect with the black community, if you will. There's an entire sect of people that, look like us, dress like us, that will go out there and vote, that do have a perspective that matters, that do support Rob's business and other businesses around the world, around the country. And we need representation that is going to be, if we're going to go in that direction, we need representation that understands the culture at a higher level and that can actually, help move forward an agenda that's going to be, that's going to bring America back to, no pun intended, what makes America great again. You know what I mean? And that's my perspective on it.
Okay. And so now Byron Donalds, like I said, I think he's a smooth black man. I think that if he had to pick only Republican, like I said, I like the Kennedy piece voices. I'm nay on the voice, but I like the idea. And he doesn't have to talk a lot too. But this guy Byron Donalds, right? The only thing is that for the black community, what's because the Democrats, they got their, they coming hard. They're not going to just lay down because Biden is ineligible to be the president. They don't care about that. Listen, I think he could be the Walking Dead, and they'll say we're gonna go ahead and walk dead with him. Right? Just so Trump can't get into office. But as we round out our conversation, let me ask you, Rob. So Byron Donalds is married to a white woman. So now the Democrats are going to eat that up when Trump tries to use his blackness for the connection with everybody and everything. And so we're rolling out here. I gotta pick up with my group on the next time. I don't know what are we in or we out? No. So I think they told me I got a couple more minutes just to make sure. Now, Rob, does that hinder or help your viewpoint when the black man is married to the white woman? Does that make you feel better, or what does that do to you?
Well, I mean, therein lies the hypocrisy of this whole other side, right? Like, what does one thing have to do with another? Everyone keeps talking about that race doesn't matter, and then they just bring up race, right?
Exactly.
Black, white. You know, we were raised here in New York City, and when you didn't like somebody, it wasn't because of the color of their skin. You know,
Never.
I grew up playing baseball with Dominicans and Puerto Rican kids, black, white, everything. We were everything. And if you don't like someone, it's because you just didn't like them. It wasn't because of what color they were. It never mattered, you know, to all of us here. I mean, during the Rodney King riots in '92, everywhere else in the country, there was not one here in New York, you know. And we're made up of the biggest group of the the melting pot of the United States. So for me, that doesn't bother me at all. I mean, to go after someone's choice of a wife is kind of that makes them look bad, right? I mean, doesn't that make you look bad?
Well, we're gonna put that out there now.
You know, what is
no more shame.
Yeah, no problem with that. I like him too. I see him a lot on TV. I would like someone with some grit and some toughness. Did he serve? Was he in the military too? I didn't know if he was or not, but that'd be something nice to have there as well. But no, not at all. It doesn't affect me. I don't care about that.
Well, this is what this is about, the New American Perspective. You have it here today. Friends of the show, King Edwards, Rob Sayer, thank you for joining us today. We hope to have you back next week, 12 noon. And I am a citizen of hip-hop. This is Jania Butler. I'm signing out. Love you all, world. See you again.
Thanks, Leon. Nice meeting you, King.
So listen, let me tell you guys again, Millennium News 24.com, Millennium News TV, MillenniumTV.com. You could go on Roku, Amazon, Apple TV, all smart branded TVs, Sky Network, the Horizon Satellite. We're all over. We're coming to a cell phone. We're coming to a laptop. We're coming in and we're invading you with the New American Perspective. Again, it was great to be with you today. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, gentlemen.